bullshit podcast.
Later, articulators, new behavior. Talk about the shit that research later.
Post-grad plus dumb ass equals podcast. Serious bullshit podcast.
Later, articulators, new behavior. Talk about the shit that research later.
Post-grad plus dumb ass equals podcast. Serious bullshit podcast.
Later, articulators, new behavior. Talk about the shit that research later.
Post-grad plus dumb ass equals podcast.
Tried to hold that for so long. You guys remember the Jetsons?
Yeah, that was it. I
was
skated in.
You ice skated in?
I skated in.
We're just using our imaginations. I just used an old episode of the podcast to play the intro. Did you hear that? I was like,
Yeah,
why
I
do we?
heard
Why?
that.
I was like,
Because
I'm
you
talking. I was like,
started doing that.
I thought I was having an out of body experience for a minute. I was like, I'm talking right now. Whoa! I just hit the ball so hard that I'm talking right now, and I'm listening to myself talk. I can't feel my mouth move, dog. I'm freaking
I
out.
heard you
over
Jetson in, and I saw you not doing it.
Yeah, so I was like,
What's
whoa,
going on here?
pre-recorded Jetson now, dude. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were being a dick to me for always doing the sounds. Like you just added a Jetson to the end of it. You're like, fuck you. I'm always Jetsoning it.
If this podcast started perfectly, dude, I'd fucking be afraid that we're not going to make it out of the podcast itself. Okay? I'd have a serious concern at that point. Be like, I don't know what's going to happen here, because normally by this time, something's squenched. You feel me?
Yeah. I actually see a squinch on my end.
You see one? Is that me?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't plug in my Ethernet cable. But we'll see if anything goes wrong. Let's just let it go wrong later.
Quality's
It'll
not
fuck it
too
up when I
bad
plug
right
it in now.
The quality's not too bad right now. So yeah, I mean, it's not like you don't look like you did last time. Last time it was super grainy for a minute when you had that thing on. So I was like, what the fuck?
Well, you know, we've just set it up for technical difficulties podcast, so that's what we got going
It's
on.
kind of our thing. It's kind of our thing. We talk about it. We talk you through it. It's like we want to immerse ourselves in the problem before we start to explain it to other people. You know what I mean? It's easier when we're both working out of it together than if I'm just explaining to you how. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just learning 101.
So, but this is a special occasion
Very
because
special.
I had to open up the Anejo, and that's because I'm out of beer. So the special occasion is I'm out of beer.
That's the occasion.
Here's the
Special
bad.
occasion is not the other thing I'm drinking. It's the fact that I'm out of beer. Anejo sounds like a black girl name. Anejo.
Anejo.
They just call me a Nene though.
Anejo.
They call me a Nene though. A Nene. Anejo.
She's an Anejo.
She's an innate hoe. It's just in her. It's just in her. She's an innate hoe. She's always been one. Her mama was a hoe. Her grandmama was a hoe. She comes from a long line of hoery. Hosiery. Is it hosiery? Because that would be fun. A long line of hosiery. It's the long form of hose, right? Like pantyhose would be hosiery. So if a bunch of
don't
hose,
know.
would that be a hosiery of hose?
I've always heard a bunch of hoes.
If you see a pack of hose, is that a hosiery? Is my question. Because that would be a great new term to use, at least.
I mean, if you start saying it, Diddlegate will happen.
Well, Diddlegate will happen.
It's a thing.
I'm hearing a lot of diddles now. I don't know if it's just synchronicities or what going on, but a lot of people are using the word diddle nowadays, and I don't know if it came from me. That's all I'm saying.
Put the energy out there.
I got another one for you. White trash, we're just calling them glad bags from now on, okay? We got a whole bunch of we got a box of glad bags just dumped out on the side of the fucking parking lot over here, dude. Watch out.
That's a
Glad
pretty good
bags.
one.
Couple glad bags coming down the aisle in Walmart. Be careful. I see I see fucking tank tops and Jinkos from a long ways away.
And then like the ones at Waffle House, they're like the hefty bags. Like, oh, it's the
Yeah. What were those jean shorts that everybody used to wear? Was that was Jinkos,
Jinkos, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, when you hear Jinko, you think of like the big wide leg pants
Yep.
that goth kids
Think
would
of-
wear. Yeah, I thought that was the style of that pant. I forgot that was the company. The whole company was that. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I guess
those
the
were super
shorts,
cool.
Yeah, the shorts were just like they were pipes, right? Remember Lee Pipes? Pipes.
No,
That's what they were
remember
called,
that.
man. The shorts were called pipes back in the day. You can look it up.
I never had any of that. I wasn't allowed.
What?
I don't know if I wasn't allowed or I didn't really know about it. I didn't really see it because we weren't allowed to wear them at that private school, so didn't see it. Wasn't cultured. We had a uniform. We wore
Was that
khakis.
middle school? Was that middle school?
Yeah.
That sounds horrible. Yeah, that's when I went through my whole goth phase was in middle school, dude.
Oh, I missed it. No,
Yeah.
I caught you with the choker on in high school.
Maybe. Yeah, I was just trying anything at that point, dude.
It's in your yearbook. Like,
I was trying anything at that point. I was like, please, God, somebody. I need to lose my virginity here. Come on. I was not cool, dude. I was just not cool. Until like I think even like maybe in 12th grade I was kind of cool for my standards because I did get out of school early and I didn't fucking really care about anything. You know, it was just baked.
I got out of school early. That was my thing.
That was my thing. I kind of just left early and it was cool. Nobody said shit.
Left the choker and I left school early.
I threw that choker in the wind, dude. In 10th grade I was like, I can't do that anymore. No, I definitely went through a phase where I was like trying to wear like fucking American Eagle, Abercrombie clothes and all that shit, dude. I tried everything, man, when I was younger. That's why I have no identity anymore, because I tried on all the masks. And I'm like, I'm done with all this shit, man. I'm just fucking wearing sweatpants and.
No, I just wear comfy
attire, dude. I mean, I've done comedy sweatpants several times. It's just setting a new standard for the whole thing. I don't know why anybody needs to wear a suit up here during all this. That just seems highly unnecessary, man. It's like it's adds to the whole.
In a suit up there?
Oh yeah, people do. Well, at least blazers now. Blazers are still around. People come out in blazers. And I mean, I don't discredit anybody if you just want to wear a fucking blazer. I mean, wear whatever the fuck you want. But as far as for me, I feel like when I see the blazer, it's like supposed to set you apart from everybody else or something. Like you're the professional here or something like that. And I just don't feel the need to separate myself from the audience.
Yeah.
Like the way I do comedy is like we're all just chilling. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of opinion, just getting bladder. And if it is, it's just like, you know, me talking to you kind of shit because it would just be weird if I was standing there wearing a fucking blazer and sitting down in a stool and talking to you guys like we're just smoking a joint. You know what I mean? Like think about
comedy.
Think of how strange that would be though. It's like I'm just sitting there in a stool just hanging out and we're talking about fucking we're talking about the guy who sawed somebody's head off and fucking tanning just your head on the beach and shit, and fucking, and people were just like, you know, it would be weird if I was sitting there in a fucking suit and I was just like chilling. Fucking, it just doesn't seem as natural to me. I don't know, or it's not what it is. It would be forcing some shit. But some people's form of comedy, like I don't know, Jerry Seinfeld or something, it kind of makes sense. But is that just because he wore a suit from the beginning and that's how we think of him?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. There's another guy. I've been watching that, you know that show Crashing?
I know of the show, yeah. It's an HBO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
It's not that great, but it's good. It's okay. Like, I continue watching it because I started.
It's some good stuff. Yeah.
Overall, I'd give it like a B. B minus. It's not that
there's
great.
A lot of good comics that are like involved with the show or whatever. But
yeah, there's a shit ton of comics.
As a show, how interesting it would be to watch a guy live a shitty fucking beginning of a comedy career, which is just like you sleeping all the time and fucking.
Well, the beginning of his comedy career is like probably the top of a lot of people's. He's sleeping on Ari's couch. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like that's his first night in New York.
It doesn't get worse than. I mean, that sounds awesome though.
That's what I'm saying. I said the top of some people's career.
Oh, I thought you meant like the top of like the shittiness ladder. I was gonna be like, dude, have you heard about Jim Carrey? Like supposedly like lived in a closet. For real, for like a couple of years when he moved out there or something. Okay, I get what you're saying. Now. Continue.
Did you see him on the red carpet though? When he went to the Fashion Week thing?
No, is he crazy yet? Full on?
Oh my god, dude, this is my favorite fucking thing. I respect this shit so much.
All right, calm down.
This is one of my favorite fucking things.
I love it too already. Just relax.
All right.
I'm kidding.
Can't.
I know, it's awesome. It's supposed to be awesome. Whatever's about to hear.
Well, see, the thing is, it's so awesome, and then he makes a very strange turn.
He's just like, and now let me talk about black people. You're like, whoa.
Oh, you're not gonna be able to hear.
Yeah, you can't play through, but I can.
I can't play through. It's like a 2-minute, 12-second Jim Carrey sounds off on icons.
All right, let's see.
It's I typed in Jim Carrey Fashion Week to find it.
Hands off on icons. I'm just gonna type that in. That's the name of the video, right? Yeah. 213.
Disney's A Wrinkle in Time.
All right, now I can mute that. Fuck Disney, okay, dude. All right, hang on, really quick, just an aside
Disney.
before we get in this video, because we're probably gonna break the video down a little bit too. Here, we'll be stopping and stuff. But Disney's like gonna take over all entertainment soon or something, dude. They're gonna be like the next Comcast of movies and stuff, right?
What
They're
about
gonna
the
have all the money to make all the movies.
What about Netflix?
I don't know. Aren't they like fucking? They're about to up their price because they're fucking in debt.
Netflix?
Yeah.
I
And
didn't
then
know
with
that.
the whole, I'm pretty sure that is Netflix in debt. I thought they were in a huge amount of debt.
I thought they were rolling in it.
The Los Angeles Times reported that Netflix was more than $20 billion in accumulative debt, billion streaming home obligations. People wanted the company's financial future. That was August 15th, 2017. Wait, Netflix is going to be fine, it says, even with $20 billion in debt and a Disney-less future. I'm not going to read through this article, but these people are arguing that they'll be fine. I don't know. Is that net neutrality thing going to affect this at all?
Is net neutrality going to affect Disney or Netflix?
Netflix.
I mean, it should. If it does, it's just going to raise the price of Netflix.
Okay. Which it already is, because they're talking about raising their price.
Right, but it'll get raised more. It's like now you have to pay a toll. Like you were driving down the road, but now you got to pay the toll and now you can get to where you're going.
Dude,
you
it's
already paid
already
for gas.
It's already $14.99. Or it's going to be $14.99 here.
Yeah.
Started off at $7. I mean, no, I get it. Trust me, you can play WoW for the same price. I fucking understand that having all media, like TV, at your fingertips is worth that.
I actually don't have it. I buy HBO and not Netflix. It's probably not as good of a deal because I think I pay either 11 or 14 for HBO.
There's some really good shows on HBO though. But
Yeah, they keep me super entertained.
As far as just sheer amount of content, I mean, Netflix is pretty superior, I would say.
All right, play Jim Carrey, my hero, before he becomes Jim Carrey the Nightmare.
Before he becomes Jim Carrey the Nightmare, because I mean he's out of his mind. We all know that.
Right.
Yeah.
But he makes sense for a minute.
Oh wait, this is the one where he's like talking about being nobody, right?
Yeah.
I haven't heard the beginning of it. Yeah, I've
covered
seen
a
this.
lot
Yeah,
of
he's
Fashion
walking
Week.
around
This
and
is
shit.
the first time I've run into Jim Carrey.
No, supposedly this is a character that he's gonna be doing.
Is it true you're wandering the streets?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Party? What's up?
Well, I heard that he's like method acting for something, but he's also crazy.
I just, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come
No.
to and join.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like, it's awesome, but it's also, it almost just sounds like the hackiest version of that ever, right? It's like, oh, this is so meaningless. I'm going to come here and tell everybody how meaningless it is as I'm here in a suit that I got looking especially cool the way I wanted it to look. And it's fucking like, I mean, you're still there doing the whole thing. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
That makes it a little hacky, but he did have to get through the door, right? He had to get
No,
through the
I
door
get
to
it. I get it, but it's like, man, he obviously didn't do anything, and it wouldn't do anything. And it just seems like it's very self-indulgent to be like, I'm going to go there and tell them how meaningless this shit is, man. It's like, what are you, fucking 18? You just going through this phase now, bro? The atheism phase where you're angry at the world and shit? You want to fucking tell all the Christians to suck your cock? Or you want to be like Andrew Cedardahl and fuck a Christian broad and then pull her fucking hair back to look at the crucifix while he's fucking her in the ass?
Is it a crucifix on her? They got real specific.
Something he said, but yeah, he's about to be. He's an assistant attorney general right now.
Assistant attorney general.
Yeah, in Iowa.
What do in Iowa?
Yeah, he's like, I was talking about it today. I was just laughing. I was like, yeah, you're never gonna be able to run for an actual thing. We used to be a death metal band. I was like, I'm sure there's photos in the deep web of you doing like just like fucking some satanic looking shit, some dumb shit. It's like, you'll never be able to run, dude. They're gonna dig it up. He like pissed all over fucking chairs in a fucking church auditorium one time. He just hated it for a while, dude. He went through Catholic school and stuff and went through a phase of just hating fucking church, bro. And the whole thing.
I mean, I still have a deep-seated resentment. But yeah, I mean, these
Were you in a Catholic school? Or was it just private school? Was it a religious
Episcopal. It was Episcopal.
That seems so not like. Is it your mom or your dad that put you there? Well, it seems like your dad wouldn't put you in.
They were together when they put me there. So when it started, they were together.
That's
It
weird.
was
Were they,
really
like,
because
more into religion back in the day or something?
it wasn't about religion. It was more about opportunities and the people you meet, like in the education. I got a good education.
You got a real Machiavellian fucking family, bro. What the fuck? No wonder you're like the way you are, dude. You are some straight up Machiavellian motherfuckers, dude.
You didn't go there for Jesus. Hey, you weren't there for Jesus.
We didn't go there for Jesus.
Oh,
We went there to make specific connections in order to progress ourselves through the social hierarchy in order to obtain the power we need to spread our influence throughout the world.
It didn't work
It's
out.
the Olsen family crest. The Olsen family crest is the endless tendril.
We were way too poor to be there, so like, it didn't really work out. I was just like the weird kid.
Y'all were trying to move on up.
Yeah, I think
You were the seed. They were like, we got to get this kid in Episcopal school, and we're gonna get him to fucking get us rich. And then they were like, oh fuck, man, we fucked up. He doesn't want to do this at all. God damn it.
Yeah, I used to think that we were poor, which is it's really like it's funny.
Yeah, it's not
because
by any means.
I used to go to these mansions and these country clubs that these other people would be at, and I wouldn't fit in at all. I didn't get it. So I thought we were poor. So it's like this. We're just like middle class.
Yeah,
My dad's doing really well for himself.
I went from poor to middle class. Like I actually experienced that jump when my mom and Cliff got together, and they had Allie, and then the two of them were able to bump the household into middle class basically. And I mean, me and my mom used to live in a trailer when we first moved down here, fucking on somebody's lawn, basically, like on a family member's property, not their lawn, but their property. And fucking, it was like a really shitty trailer, dude, like fucking super shitty. And it was just like all my mom could get when we first moved down here, and her and my dad divorced. And so, yeah, dude, like, I mean, there was times when fucking, it was mostly like, it was just, basic fucking food, dude. A lot of ramen was happening during this time, a lot of mac and cheese type dishes and shit like that, man. Fucking, there was times when the hot water wouldn't work, and I'd have to boil water and put it in the tub, and then fucking take a bath in that really quick, like a quick bath before the water cools down, dude. Like just crazy shit like that, man. And then like just as we went into probably like right around the time we went into middle school, or just before that, her and Cliff got together, and then they moved in. We moved in with them, and then definitely bumped into like a decent lower middle class, middle class lifestyle from that point on, which I think is a great middle ground to grow up in as a kid. It gives you a lot of opportunities to go in a lot of different directions, because you get a sense of hard work, but you also get a sense of fucking struggle, but you don't have to like worry about eating, and you don't have to like visibly see your parents like fucking, you know what I mean, freaking out about not being able to make it, pay the bills or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, because being rich can obviously lead to, being no ambition or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah, lack of purpose.
Yeah, lack of purpose and all that shit, and then or just lack of drive or lack of fucking whatever. And then obviously being poor can lead to lack of fucking nutrition and whatever else. So it's like, yeah, you want to get that sweet middle spot there. I think that's the best. The best way to grow up is probably middle class, if it's possible, in America. I don't know. That probably sounds fucking retarded though.
I don't know. I was thinking
like
the same thing because everyone wants to, work hard and get rich, and I'm doing good for myself, but I've kind of come to terms with I'm probably not going to get super rich at this point in my life. So I was thinking about it, and raising kids, I think that it instills like, all right, so they're doing good, and the things that they've done have led them to do good. And so they still see, it's not like I don't have to work. So, my children, they would see me working every day. I was having that thought either this week or last, and how that's a middle class sort of a thing that you wouldn't see necessarily in a super upper class, unless you're dealing with
unless you're dealing with a very aware type of fucking person. Like I'm sure, like say like Joe Rogan or something, kids will probably have a decent work ethic just seeing.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he like still finds a way to set a good example in that regard. But yeah, it's gotta be tough, man. What's up?
I was talking the other day to Erica about like things that we were and weren't allowed to watch as kids and how parents would decide. And I was thinking about how stupid some shows are, and I know that as a kid I probably would like it, but now I look at it and I was like, this is trash. And so
Like what?
I kind of just
Give me examples.
I don't have anything on the top of my head, but I bet if I went back, I can't shit on anything.
Shit on it. Fuck it.
Well, I don't know
Podcast.
anything that's
Let's get some
actually
heat going, dude.
I don't know
Let's get
anything
some
that's
beef
actually
going.
bad.
With an old
This is-
cartoon or something. Let's get some beef.
I was all right. I bet if I went back and watched SpongeBob, I'd think it was pretty stupid.
No, there's some episodes of SpongeBob you go back and you're like, oh
Well, you
shit,
can't-
this is
Can't
fucking,
nitpick.
it's pretty
Saying
good.
on the whole.
I would say on the whole, SpongeBob is still entertaining right now. Yes.
See, that's the
'Cause you
thing.
can
is
get
I
you get a hold of the thing. They were well. The thing about you picked a bad one. That was a bad example. Just because that show
I know I didn't have any
specifically.
good examples.
Yeah, that show specifically was like it's written by like a comic, the guy who does the voices, and it's fucking. It's a legitimately funny cartoon. Like even though they can't say fuck or shit or anything like that, it's like you're dealing with a guy who's a cook in a fucking shit kitchen who works with a miserable
Okay.
fucking fry cook, and his boss is a money grubbing fucking asshole, and
What-
he's
What about
somehow
Keenan and
blind,
Kel?
and he's somehow blindly out. Now that's probably dumb.
Burger, Home of the Good Burger. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes show.
Okay, yeah, now that it wasn't written. Yeah, and it's also
Okay,
not
so-
animated, so you can't like explore adult ideas. Because SpongeBob's
that's
basically
like-
like a fucking kid, but he works as a fry cook. You know what I mean?
Right. You're right. So I was struggling to get to the Keenan and Kels and the Amanda Bynes, but I found it. And
Dude,
so,
really quick. The minnows that would pile in to fucking the Krusty Krab sometimes, dude. It's just like it's all food F&B jokes. There's a lot of F&B jokes that are in that fucking show where you're just like, oh my god, it's the minnows at 12 o'clock rush. All the minnows are coming in, dude, and they're just standing there and they're like, they all just fucking want to eat. It's like Squidward's fucking pissed because he's got to deal with it. And SpongeBob's just somehow optimistic throughout the whole thing, which is just hilarious because it's the worst job ever, and somehow he likes it. It's just like fucking Squidward's just trying to like make him not realize why it's so shitty. Basically, it's fucking. I don't know, man. It might be worth going back and watching one or two just to see if I'm onto something here or if I'm just fucking high. Could be that too. Could be that too. Sometimes you watch a cartoon when you're high and you're like, this is fucking great, bro. So yeah, Keenan and Kel, Amanda Bynes definitely does not have that replay value when you go back.
and so I was thinking like, all right, so I want my kid to be able to talk to other kids about the stupid shows that they're watching, but I really don't want them to watch it. So I think what I'll do is I will say like, oh yeah, you can watch these stupid shows that I don't like, but when we're done, we're going to have a conversation about how stupid it is. And hopefully I can talk them out of wanting to see it. Like, oh, I was allowed to see it. I just chose not to because I had to talk to my dad
You're just gonna
about
manipulate your kids. You're like, no, let me tell you why that was dumb as fuck. Now listen, that show's fucking whack as shit, all right? And I want you to go to school tomorrow and tell all your friends how whack Arnold that bitch ass show is, all right? I don't want you fucking. You're allowed to watch it, but just know you're probably gonna be a fucking idiot if you want to keep watching. So go ahead. But whatever, dummy. It's like, Jesus Christ. Listen up, son. I'm about to shame you into watching what I want.
It's like it's the post show.
Hey, maybe you should check out this documentary if you're not a little faggot.
It's the post show breakdown with Dad.
Hey, check out. Hey, son. You should probably watch The Deuce unless you're a little bitch.
Sitting over there with his anejo.
Night.
Every time I disagree with something or I find it stupid, I just rattle my eyes.
Just rattle the ice. Like, you know what that means?
That means we're talking about that later.
That means
You have to hear about
that. Means
that
I just
joke.
spilled it all over my lap. So that means when I tried to
did.
spin it around.
I'm trying to make some
That would not be
noises.
the cool way for Dad to do that. That would have been a dad fail. Would have been funny.
I'm not a dad yet. I can't handle the ice clicking. Just not there.
Are you ready, bro? Who knew Mike would be first? That's so weird. Are you ready though? You prepared? You gonna be the guy? You gonna be next? Because I'm never gonna. So there's that.
You said that.
Yeah,
You
I'm
said
gonna
that,
get
but
the
I
sect.
heard
I'm gonna
you
get the
walk
sect
it back
eventually.
one time. I heard
Nah.
you walk it back one time.
No, I thump my nuts every night to make sure they know it's boss. And it never works.
My nuts.
I thump my nuts.
like a
like a-
thump, like a
speed
hard
bag, like a speed bag with both hands. do you think about that?
Yeah, it sounds painful. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not for me. It's not how I do it.
Yeah. Nope. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just to piss everybody off that says you don't know how you'll feel one day. I'm just gonna make that decision right now. And be like, oh yeah, actually I already do know because I fucking didn't just get it knotted. I got it fucking lasered. I'm gonna get the unreversible one. Wait.
Oh.
Wait.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Is that a vasectomy?
It's called the ultimatum.
The ultimatum.
Oh man, my grandfather wants like me to pass on genes. Probably, he looks at it like that. Isn't that weird? Some people look at it like, oh, I want to pass on the family name. Like my dad's
Yeah.
kind of sad that I'll be the last Winkler, which I'm like, really,
The
dude?
last.
He's like, does
Winkler.
anybody else need to? I'm just gonna take this name, make fun of it in my act, and ridicule it, and then we're done with this name.
You know what?
Winklers are done.
I think that sounds like a great name to your first special.
What?
The Last Winkler.
The last Winkler. People will be like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? I don't know what this means.
So you're part of your epic and your the lore. It's just part of your
In the
style.
lore.
It's
I
the
mean,
lore.
the lore, yeah. I'll be in the. Hey, it's just in the lore like that, man. You know what are you gonna do?
It's
Um,
part of my blood.
Yeah. And then there's some people like my grandfather who like, on like a eugenics based level, those ones that like pass his genes on. It's like, no, you need to fuck, okay? Because we gotta get these good genes going through. He thinks his genes are good or something.
Yeah, it was actually Dan Carlin that pointed me out. I'd never realized. He said that, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but people in medieval times, it was much easier to die on the battlefield than to procreate. Most men did not procreate until
Yeah, 'cause they would throw you out probably how young on the battlefield.
yeah,
Did
exactly.
you talk about
So,
that? Like what
yeah.
age?
I think it's just like when did they need you, right? I don't think it was like a specific age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, you couldn't be, like, fucking 7. You just go out there and get clubbed, right? So you'd probably have to be, like, of some fighting capability. At least, like,
See what you're saying.
12-year-old. Something, maybe?
Yeah.
You just imagine an 8-year-old running some guy's just going to be, like, with a warhammer, just, like, fucking blow some kid, like, 20 feet away in one swipe. What the
He
fuck?
just comes in trying to bite a guy.
Yeah, like, this is not going to work. Get this kid out of here. It'd just be a sacrifice.
That's
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
I think it still does. Child soldiers in Africa is a thing.
What's that?
Child
Oh.
soldiers, Africa.
I mean,
they
it's
got-
definitely a thing.
They got firearms, so
Yeah.
the equalizer.
Well, some of them use machetes and stuff out there and stab people and shit.
Shit.
That's fucking crazy. It's crazy that still happened. I was just listening to this podcast about massacres. It was a history podcast called History on Fire. Shouts out. It's a pretty good one. You should listen to it. Also, fucking Dan Carlin and this guy are like good buddies. They're fucking they're in cahoots sometimes and shit. But they're in cahoots. But they were talking about these two specific massacres. One that was in like 1860 or something like that, and one that was like 1890, and one was in like 1960. One was in Vietnam. Which was just this insane thing where these guys thought they were going to raid this village that had Viet Cong in it, and there was just only civilians in it, and they just went in there and they started murdering all these civilians, and then it turned into like a blood orgy, and dudes were just like fucking, just like shooting like children and women until their bodies like flew apart, and just like clip after clip, just mowing people down on fully automatic, and just in this insane scene of like shooting grenades into people and watching them explode. See, this one guy said. He said that one dude picked up a baby, threw it in a well, and then threw a grenade in the well. It's like, dude, it's almost like it was like GTA version of real life, but it was like, you know, like in a video game, you would explore all the interesting ways you could kill somebody or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you would do it in fucking some goofy way or something like that. It was like examples of people doing shit like that, just in a regular thing. And these were just normal guys. It was like a larger group of people, like 30, 40, 50 people that were just somehow, like, enough crazy shit happened that it was like we're in too deep, and it just became a literal all-out blood orgy is how I would describe it. Whereas, like, I don't, like, what the fuck? Like, everybody just turned off as human beings and it becomes something else. And then it also, they talked about this other one, which was back during the Native American times. It was called the Sand Creek Massacre. And these white soldiers decided that they were going to raid this. I can't remember which Indians it was, or which tribe it was. I think it was Cheyenne. That they were gonna just raid this camp of peaceful ones that they told to come stay outside their thing, and fucking like the dude fucking put up like a flag. They sent out a little girl with a white flag. So it's like, obviously you're not gonna do this, and they just mowed this fucking little girl down right in front of the TP or whatever, and they just started fucking going in there and ripping people. One party of dudes actually just left. He said, "Nah, fuck this," and left. But the rest of the dudes, they were talking about cutting out the uterus and cutting out a fucking a unborn baby and then scalping a baby, and like stomping out like infants and fucking like wearing genitals on their head and like putting them on sticks and running around like that, dude, and like the most insane shit. Like I just literally the most heinous, insane shit you can possibly imagine happening on a battlefield. It was happening all around this place, and then like fucking yeah, they just did it for no reason. Just like a bunch of innocent people. It was almost all women and children. It was only like 40 males that got killed, and all the rest of them was like hundreds of women and children, dude. And it just another blood orgy ensued. What's that?
It says 70 to 163 killed for the Indians, and 24 Americans were killed, and 52 were wounded.
Thank you.
There were 700 for John M. Chivington, and then it was the Cheyenne and the Arapaho, and they were led by Black Kettle.
Black Kettle.
Call the kettle black, and they had it was 700 versus 70 to 200.
Yeah, and
But
also
it doesn't look
just
like
to be
all of them
clear,
were killed.
just to be clear, the Shivington guy got fucking arrested. I'm pretty sure. Like he had to go to court after it was fucking war crimes, basically, because I'm pretty sure he got convicted because they fucking just attacked, like for no reason, a peaceful camp. So it was like super bad for peace relations, and basically it was going to make it harder for them to get out west because now they're at war with a bunch of native tribes out there, during the expansion time. So yeah, it was fucking. He ended up having to pay for it. So it wasn't like just like that's how evil the Americans were. It was like this was like a guy that literally at one point said he wanted to wade in blood tonight or something like that. It was like a quote from him. And this is during times when people were writing shit down. Later 1800s, I think, right?
Yeah, 1820s ish. That actual thing was in 1864.
Okay, yeah.
It was November 3rd, 1864.
Yeah, so people are writing shit down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's some clear accounts of just like oh shit, and then the Vietnam thing. There's obviously pictures and color, which is fucking insane. So yeah, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about the idea of blood orgy, dude? And when does it become like they were relishing, like they were doing shit that was like fun with killing people, like just trying it out. The one guy they talked about, he just wanted to see what it would be like to stab somebody, so he just stabbed a dead body in the back just to see what that was like. Fucking while they were in that camp in the middle of all this shit, and he just fucking threw that kid in the well. Like this, like what do you think? The guy that was talking about trying to put himself in the shoes of it, and I'm like, I don't even know how you could put yourself in the shoes of it, but it's like, is that like a mechanic that's built inside of humans, like that fucking crazy frenzy type state? Because I mean, I've heard about it in games before, and like I think there's even like a D&D character based around like a blood berserker, he goes into a crazy rage whenever there's a lot of blood on the battlefield. And I wonder if that's what like Vikings were doing back in the day too. That's why people feared them so much, because they would just fucking be like relishing in it. Maybe that's just a certain type of psychopath, but it seemed like a lot of people were doing that shit too. So it seems like even me or you could be susceptible to some situation where we're in a blood orgy.
I mean, I certainly think if I was in a situation where I was continually needing to kill people day in and day out, if given the opportunity to experiment with different ways of killing people, it would be useful to me in the days to come to understand how different people died different ways. And not all of these were super fruitful in utility, but it could be useful just to understand these different things and to carry out these ideas that you're probably thinking about while you're preparing to go and kill these people.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the difference is But this is a isolated incident. Both of these are isolated incidents. So it's like, for some reason, instead of just running in and everyone putting bullets in somebody and putting them down, it starts off like that, and then enough innocent people die, and enough people that are holding their baby that you kill, like till it reaches a point where your brain just breaks, and there's like zero compassion inside of you anymore, and so you're just playing in the idea of killing, like you're having fun with killing, because it doesn't mean anything to you anymore because you've just murdered so many fucking babies and shit that it's like, I mean, you don't feel, there's no way you could possibly continue feeling after you've done that a couple times. So it's like, at what point does that turn off? And then literally that's what humans are capable of. Like, holy fuck, man. Of that type of overkill. Like, what I'm really trying to explore is the overkill in that one scenario when everyone's doing it together in a group overkill. So not like a methodical serial killer, like trying to figure out what the best way is. I mean, that I totally see what you're saying. That makes sense, especially like a hitman or something like that, who's like, you know, trying to figure out different ways to murder people and experimenting with it. I could see that. But no, the group slaughter is quite unique to me. And
isn't it? I mean, isn't it analogous to mob mentality?
It is in a way, but it's like I guess like if you're thinking about like somebody getting stomped out, like we talked about Black Friday, with somebody getting just trampled over, and everyone just agreeing like we don't care about this human being anymore, like fuck this human being. But it's still not like you sitting there and being like, yeah, I'm gonna stab this guy 50 times just to see what that's like, and now I'm gonna fucking shoot a grenade in this old lady's stomach and see how that blows up, and I'm gonna shoot this fucking kid's head. Like they were talking about, like one bullet could blow a kid's whole head off, or just blow a kid's head off next to some other kid, and just fucking all this crazy stuff. Dude, literally, dude, to stop this thing, just to finish, to stop the entire thing, another American guy flying his helicopter and being like, what the fuck over top? Holy shit, what the hell's going on? It had to stop, fly down, and fucking literally with his men, he had to convince them to go against orders and go down there and fucking point their guns at American soldiers, these giant fucking chopper gunners, which is like, nobody's going to fuck with that, and make everyone stop. Or they're gonna kill you. Like you fucking cut it out. And they started trying to save the last little bit of villagers that were left. But like, they have like this mentality of just like, if you leave any babies, they're gonna want revenge later, and so you gotta just kill them now. And it's like, Jesus fuck, dude. That's not gonna work like that. People who didn't have anything to do with that are gonna be mad at you now. Like what? But yeah, like literally, other people on the same side had to stop it. That's why it's just like, it turned into like this frenzy where it was like uncontrolled, like unbridled humans. It was like a part of the brain shuts off, and then it's just this other part of the brain that's just purely like you know, like when a chimpanzee rips another chimp's fucking back out and like eats it or whatever, and like goes into like this crazy frenzy with that or something. Like I wonder if there's something similar. 'Cause I don't know if it'd be possible with maybe it is possible without being in a giant mob.
I don't know, because the mob gives you a lot of power. I mean, it'd be hard for one person to sustain that sort of destruction by themselves.
Well, I mean, like on one other person.
I would say that's wouldn't you think that's pretty common? Like, there's a lot of very gruesome murders.
Yeah, like especially like women murdering their like abusive husbands or something. Like those usually get like several stab wounds or something like that. You know what I mean? Those kind of things.
Crime of passion.
Yeah, that's what it's called, crime of passion. But yeah, I don't know if that. I wonder how often that happens. It might be like, what do you call it? It might be similar to how often like a weird group massacre happens in war. I mean, and it all needs to be prefaced by these guys where, you know, fucking, they'd watched all their friends fucking just die around them, like getting their legs blown off. You don't know when somebody's going to die. You're walking through a jungle, and all of a sudden somebody's head gets blown off by a sniper rifle, and you're like, what the fuck? You hit the ground, and some other guy blows up with a fucking mind, and then it's just like fucking, it's just craziness. So maybe it was just like a revenge kind of thing, and they just hated those people. I don't know, man. But humans are on some other shit. How do we get on this topic? I wanted to kind of discuss it, but I don't know if I wanted to go too deep.
This deep.
Go this dark with it.
Pretty deep.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's change the subject. Here. I heard Trump recently talking about death penalty for drug dealers. He just used the word
Really?
drug dealers. He used the word drug dealer, supposedly referring to the opioid crisis, but just use the word drug dealers, which makes me like, what the fuck? That makes me kind of scared. Even though I'm not a drug dealer, but I don't want any of my homies to die. Sell some drugs, bro.
Got a couple homies. I'm trying to.
That's
They're
fucking
trying to just make a living.
That's some scary shit. That he literally said that. It's like the toughest measures possible. And you know what I mean by that. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, talking about somebody who might just be, like, because they're, the point has been made that some people just sell the opioids to use them. Like, users get addicted and then they sell it to support their habit. And he's just talking about putting them down, man, which is some real draconian type shit, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah,
That's-
I
that's-
didn't even hear about this.
That's a step in the straight up, like, fucking wrong direction. Like Singapore style. I think he mentions Singapore, which is like, what?
Isn't it the Philippines with Duterte?
No, I think he mentions Singapore, though. In the quote, or
Okay.
it's like Singapore has some really good laws on the way that they handle executing fucking people who do drugs, except for the ones that I currently use to stay awake and stay alive. Let's see here. Trump, Singapore.
No, I think it was Duterte for the Philippines. I can't
Trump
find
reportedly praised Singapore for executing drug dealers.
Yeah, I'm on Forbes, dude. I don't know where you
Here's
get your
how they
shit
feel.
news.
This is Washington Post.
The failing Washington Post.
I don't know anything about fucking news, you cunt.
No, that's what Trump calls it. Dude.
Really?
Disney's
Yeah, yeah, cunt.
What about, let's see here. Right. Trump officials study death penalty for drug dealers and opioid epidemic.
Yeah, so I think that in general, speaking on just the topic,
He just
My
says
understanding-
some countries. Sorry, what?
my understanding is that that we've tried, right? Lyndon B. Johnson, we tried the war on
Disney's
drugs
A
and
Wrinkle
it
in
didn't
Time.
work.
God
Damn it,
Chris
hang on.
Rock.
Disney's
Wrinkle
fucking interrupting.
Hey,
Stop it. Stop,
hey.
Disney.
It's a winkle in time. It's a
That's
winkler in time.
That's right. That's what I'm my special called a winkle in time. Oh no. Oh no. It's got a double meaning. Yeah, it's a double meaning there. It's a pun. It's a pun.
A winkle in time. The last winkler.
Nobody's gonna watch that special. Everybody like, I would look at that and be like, "Oh my god, I'm good on this fucking asshole, this stupid douche."
I don't know. I might pop it open and be like, this sounds so bad. Just to give it a try.
This is
This
bad.
sounds so bad.
This is bad. This is very bad.
Yeah, my understanding is that we've tried larger penalties, and it's been shown that the things that are causing people to do drugs or whatever law they're breaking is not adding more time, or a steeper penalty is not going to prevent the incentives that already exist for them to carry out those actions. It's
Yeah.
just going to make the consequences larger, but that's just means you're going to be.
Well, a lot of them are willing to die anyways. It's like most people that sell drugs are not too naive to know that the only way out of selling drugs is to die or go to jail. And I'm pretty sure most of those people will just tell you that, right? So it's like as long as they're willing. I mean,
Good observation.
almost every, and I used to hang around a lot of, there were young drug dealers, and some of them I guess are older dudes, but like, fucking, it was almost everyone knew. I mean, you hear rappers talk about it, everyone knows. You know what I mean? Every rap song is gonna be a guy telling you about it. You go to jail or die. I'm going up in the jail cell or something. You know what I mean? It's always some shit like that. So it's like they're mostly aware of that, and they're willing still to die in order to get the rewards of that. So it's like, man, I mean, maybe you solve that problem that people are literally willing to die to sell drugs. It must be fucking pretty great if dudes are just willing to die for it, right? Like,
No,
what the
yeah,
fuck?
it's the incentives.
yeah.
Most of those people, if they could find a job that worked for them, they would certainly choose that over
Yeah, man.
I
Well,
would say
mean,
most people, yeah.
Yeah,
would
but you grew up in
absolutely.
an environment where nobody has that job, and you don't know anybody that has that job. I mean, you don't know anybody that knows anybody that has that job, and everybody that you do know that has a job is selling drugs, and they said that's tight as fuck, and it looks awesome because they got cool shit, and they got new stuff all the time, and they're just chilling playing PlayStation all day, and you're like, oh shit, and just some guy comes by and he chills, and that's it. This is all he does is hang out.
Then he chills.
Yeah, I mean, think about that, dude. As a kid, looking at that, dude, does that not look like the greatest job ever? Where I don't have to do anything, just hang out all day and fucking do whatever I want, and then make a whole bunch of money and buy crazy shit. And I also get to be hard, and I get to be hard, and people respect me. Every time somebody comes in here, nobody talks bad to me. Everyone comes in and is nice. You know what I mean? Like you get to see the power and influence of it. It's fucking, I don't know, man. To a kid, I could definitely see how that would be like. Oh yeah, and I could just get right in. I don't have to wait 4 years or 2 years. I just bam, I'm in. I'm selling drugs instantly. So I don't know. You're right. The incentive it's pretty significant if you really break it down. It's like, wow, this incentive is pretty good. I'm thinking about becoming a drug dealer right now. I'm like, man.
Yeah, it's just what it sounds like. Sounds better than comedy.
Yeah, sounds more profitable at least.
No one's judging me on my couch.
Everyone's got. I never bomb here. Never bomb selling drugs until you go to jail or you die, dog. But in the back of your mind, every drug dealer knows that. There's no fucking way they don't.
Who will stand up in the jail cell?
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got all these penalties, and it's like, but everyone weighs those penalties in when they sell drugs. It's like, and they still sell drugs. It's like, oh, well, they're gonna get those penalties anyways. It's like, what? If the penalty's death, you know how many people you're gonna have to kill? There's gonna be a lot of fucking dudes that don't give a fuck about dying anymore, and they're just gonna sell drugs. You realize how much more money, dude? Think about it. There'd be so much more money in selling opioids too, because a lot of people would get out. That the people who were sticking around would be like, it's so much money now that it is worth risking your life for. Continue.
There's a guy that was. There's 2 cases I think over the last couple weeks of men that were dying and they had been sentenced to death, but the state was giving them just enough medical treatment to keep them alive so that they could be the ones that killed them. Thoughts?
Ooh, was he like a particularly fucked up guy that they just wanted to fuck with, or what?
So one
Did
of
this
them
guy do some fucked up shit?
One of them wasn't particularly. So one of them, the worst guy, he either raped a children or killed a children. So that guy kind of sucked. But then there's another guy that just did armed robbery of a convenience store, and I think he did murder clerk. So they're both shitty people. But, you know, one of them wasn't a kid, so...
Yeah, the guy who fucking murdered or fucked a kid, I could see being like, oops, we're just going to keep you alive a little longer here. So
until we can kill you.
And it's probably going to hurt the whole time you're alive. Oh. And then just fuck with him. But the other guy, that kind of seems like a little brutal. Jesus Christ. He might have just been a kid, you know what I mean? Didn't know any better, got scared and shot a guy, and I'm sure, you know, it's awful. But it's like...
Yeah, it was his first offense, all of that.
Yeah, to like not just let him die or something, like they had to keep him alive.
Well, so it's an interesting question, right? Because you have to give any inmate reasonable medical care. But it's just an interesting question when they're sentenced to death, and now you're only giving them enough medical treatment to keep them alive so that you're the one that kills them. It's just
it makes. Does it have to do with like? Is there like some legal thing about like the victims, like some type of closure clause where it's like they gotta be the ones to be there when that person dies or something like that, or they get to be present, and so it's like the victims. The idea.
I think it's more just
the victims can see them die.
I don't think that they necessarily watch that. They just know, but I mean, maybe they
dude,
probably
no,
can.
they definitely watch that. Every time I've ever seen an execution ever on TV or in any movie ever, it's always been people watching it. It's usually just through like a double mirror or something. But yeah, lots of people want to go see the person who fucking did something horrible to someone they love die. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be sure that motherfucker's dead. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have.
Be damn sure, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if something bad enough happened to you, I could see that, being a thing, man. I honestly do, like, a lot of the times, like, you hear about crimes that are just horrible enough, and it's like, man, this guy should just be able to grab a sword and lop this guy's head off, like, on a fucking tree stump, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is, like, sometimes this just, like, we need to go back in time and bust out, like, some old laws here and just let this guy get something to make him at least give him something from it, dude. Like, you're never gonna feel better, but at least you get to fucking get revenge. There's a little bit of power in revenge.
Ned Stark style. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's more like to the point that, like, imagine any other prisoner. If they're sick, you have to take care of them as the state you're holding them. So they're obligated to take care of this guy, right?
Yeah. Well, isn't the state funded? So should we get to vote on whether or not we want to pay to keep this guy alive?
I want to vote.
Hey, it's my money, cocksuckers. If this is going to state jail here, I'm paying into this system, dude. I want to be able to pick. Now, is this guy a douche? Is he a piece of shit or not? It's like the second.
You don't get to vote on the judicial. You get to vote on who makes the law and
exactly whether or not we keep him alive for that, dude. Like, is that necessary? Do I need to pay? It's a lot of extra money.
Vote everything.
It's a lot of extra money, though, if we're giving him all this care. To keep a man alive, he's supposed to be dead right
that
now?
was the thing. That was the thing, is that it was because it was like cancer or something. He was receiving some somewhat significant treatment.
Some other person could be getting that treatment. That's not a fucking asshole, right? Like, what the fuck? Hey, buddy. All right, is this guy a piece of shit or not? Like, all right, he's a piece of shit. All right, so then let's fucking get him out of here so we can get somebody who didn't murder and rape a child that maybe could use some health care and help them out instead. And we could call it the prisoners fucking fund or something like that. And it's like, oh, yeah, we put this out, so you get in first. Honestly, man, if you've done a bad enough crime, it's like, yeah, you just don't get help.
Don't get help.
Nah, man. Nah, dude, if you get diabetes, that's how you go out. You fucked up. If you're in jail, all you have to do is watch your diet and exercise, bud. Sorry. I'm just kidding.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know, man. There should be like the certain section of prison where it's like you've done something that's so heinous that nobody really gives a fuck. I mean, if you're gonna fucking keep these people around anyways for some goddamn reason, like, I don't understand why I gotta fucking help most of them out. There's a lot of people that'll just look you right in the eye and be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck that I did that, and I'd do it again if you put me back on the street. And they're like, all right, well, we're gonna lock you up for the rest of your life. It's like, or he just said he's never gonna change and he likes what he did. What do you mean? Why are we trying with this guy? Like,
so you're like, anyone that doesn't repent should be essentially.
If someone relishes in doing something that insane, yeah, dude, like, there's enough people. Go fuck yourself, man.
So, like, let's say that you're the ruler of this town, and now are you gonna be the one that kills this guy?
I could swing the sword maybe, but I don't know if I got enough shoulder strength to go a clean swing. So I don't know. I might get a bigger dude.
Let's say you fire squad him. Let's say you have a firearm. Are you gonna pull the trigger?
If I'm the king, fuck no. I mean, like I said, if it was somebody that did something to me, then yeah. But if I'm the king of a thing, no, I'm gonna make somebody else do that shit. I'm gonna sit there. I'll watch it. But I mean, come on, you don't get up and like.
You made the call.
Yeah, but I'm the king of a domain here. I'm not a Northman. I'm just fucking chilling, dude. I'm the chill king. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm not. I mean, this guy. Yeah, I totally get it. Hey,
I just said to kill him.
No. I'm totally responsible for it. I'll take full responsibility for it. But I mean, the other person, I'm sure will be down. You just get one of those crazy guys who's like, yeah, listen, man, I'll let you kill people, but you can only do it whenever I tell you to. Right? but you'll be allowed to do it legally because I know you're a fucking psychopath. All right.
Just gotta wait.
Hey, now there's one off the streets, right? Hey, there's one off the streets right there. Okay, we pull him right out of the program, and we're like, listen.
We're putting them to work. Jobs.
We're gonna put you to work. We got jobs for guys just like you. Jobs.
This job like creation.
Guys like you. I need a guy who has no remorse. Okay. I need zero empathy. So yeah, no. Absolutely, man. I wouldn't have thought that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but as I get older, man, and as I see more shit happening in the world, and it's just like, dude, I don't know, man. Certain people, it's like there's so many people that need shit and need help, and it's like, man, if you're just taking up any amount of resources, if we were all in a tribe, Sterling, and that guy was doing something like that, we're not going to just put this guy in a box somewhere and take food over to him every day that we're all working hard to get and feed this fucking asshole. We're going to fucking club him in the back of the head and kill him because we can't have this guy in our tribe.
And then feed him to our dogs.
Well, you know what I'm saying, though, right? Think about it. I mean, think about it. We're on an
Yeah, you're
island.
absolutely right.
Let's change the scenario. We're on an island, 100 of us. One guy is going off and trying to murder people and do shit like that. We're going to have to deal with this guy immediately. We're not going to put him in a little bamboo cage and feed him every day and fucking entertain the guy.
Keep him alive.
Right? Like, at what point are we like, where are we going to just chill with this fucking dude? So, like, when society gets big enough, you're like, no, we need to just take care of that guy and rehabilitate that guy. And it's like, man, we're separated from that mentality. Maybe that is the case. I'm not totally sure.
Well, see, I think I think that's where it breaks down is because our current prison system is not set up to rehabilitate. It's just meant to hold them the way that you're describing it.
Yeah, but they have people in those rehabilitation prisons, even in Scandinavia, that are killers that say, I want to keep murdering and shit like that, and they're just going to let him. There's a guy that they let out that, like, ate a person on a fucking bus or beheaded a guy on a bus, and they let him back out of jail. Because he seemed rehabilitated. I don't know how he's doing. He's probably waiting for the time to cut another person's head off on a train, dude. Or whatever. He's probably trying to find another form of transportation.
Cut someone's head off.
Dude. All right. Let's see here. Man who beheaded bus passenger granted total freedom. New York Post. Is an Asian guy. Winnipeg, Manitoba. This is Canada. Sorry, this is Canada.
Canadian
man found not criminally. A Canadian man who was found not criminally responsible for beheading and cannibalizing a fellow passenger on a Greyhound bus has been granted his freedom.
He's not criminally responsible.
He was insane. So this guy, I mean, this is the problem here, right here, Canada. It's like they're just gone totally against the. You ate a guy, bro? Like what? No, we can't have that malfunction happening any other time in the future. Like, clearly you weren't like that for a long time, and then you did that. So, don't you just think you might not be like that for a while again, and then do it? How do you rehabilitate somebody that did that? Let's get to the deep of it right now.
Well, the guy that he ate was Tim McLean, 22, a young carnival worker who was a complete stranger.
Yeah, dude, what if a fucking stranger ate you? You can't have that. You can't have that be a thing. He was diagnosed schizophrenic. Oh, a diagnosed schizophrenic. Oh, so part of your schizophrenia is that you eat people? I mean, that's not a lot of. Some people just see a cat and talk to a cat, and you eat people. I'm sorry, bro. That's just different. The other side, the other personality of you is a fucking murderer. So I don't know what to tell you, bro. Just sometimes, man, like the mental, I get people are mentally ill. You have to take care of that. But if someone's mentally ill to the point, like Jeffrey Dahmer was mentally ill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy, definitely mentally ill individuals. All these people are mentally ill. Every serial killer is mentally ill. So it's like, what are you going to fucking rehabilitate him? Can you rehabilitate fucking a guy who eats people? What? That's so against, like, humans instinctually that it's like, clearly this is
This guy's not, yeah.
a major malfunction here.
I don't know, what if it was your kid, man? What if your kid ate somebody?
Dude, my kid ate somebody? I'd probably be the same thing. Like, you gotta put your kid down then, dude. What are you doing?
Take it out to a field and let it be free.
I mean, dude, you just can't. You can't allow that shit to happen, dude. That happened. That was the plot of this game. The Forest shouts out to it. Fucking, you go off to this forest to survive. To find your, plane crashes in this thing where they're actually intentionally crashing planes in this island with these cannibals, who are like, they're using children to like power this machine to grant people, to like bring people back to life, basically. But they have to use energy from a child. And so the way they get children is to crash these planes and then kidnap the children there with these cannibals who are like these deformed people that have grown there over time or something like that. And fucking, he goes to find his kid, and then fucking, he finds his kid dead there because he used his kid to give someone else life, apparently. And so this other little girl, some other guy's kid, and then this other guy's kid turns into this monster, and you got to fight it, but then it turns back into the daughter. You get to use the daughter to bring your kid back to life, the same way you just saw this other one go wrong. And then you fucking, it's like a year later, and you're on this game show, and fucking, he's he's like fucking talking with this kid there, and they're like, not a game show, like a TV show that's like asking him how they survived this island and all this stuff, because like a talk show type thing. And he fucking he's like halfway through doing this what do you call it, performance thing or whatever, and his kid starts turning into a monster, and he's got to kill it there in front of everybody. It just goes black right before you got to kill your own kid. But it's like, now all these other people are going to die, and all this other horrible shit's going to happen because you couldn't do it earlier when you knew you should just let your kid be dead. But because you wanted your kid to just be alive, you're that selfish that even though your kid was a monster, you wanted him to be alive, even though other people might have to suffer for that. Like, so you don't have to suffer of losing a child.
Wow.
What do you think about
What a
that?
great that allegory. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Great
I
story.
think that was one of the greatest stories in a game ever. And dude, literally the whole game is just a survival game where you're hiding from these cannibals, and it's just scary, and you're like, oh, this is fucking nuts. And then literally at the end of the game, when you go through this passage, you start discovering all this shit, and then all that crazy shit that I just talked about happens, and you're like, what the fuck? One of the darkest games I've ever played in my life, but definitely explores something that no other game I've played has explored. Which is
I did use that word correctly. To the
Allegory?
allegory.
Nice. I was wondering. I was like,
It's
I'm not
a
second
story,
guessing it.
poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one.
Very nice. Yeah,
Boom.
you did. You
There we
nailed
go.
it. But yeah, that was, dude, literally like I was playing it with Justin. We were doing it on as a multiplayer thing, and we both finished, dude, and we just sat in silence for like literally five and 10 minutes, dude. Not even lying, dude. Just like, fuck. We just kept doing that, like, wow, fuck. And we were just sitting there in amazement, like, holy shit, like, wow, that's how fucking games got to be right there, bro. That's the fucking, woo, that was such a good story, man, because you did it. You know what I mean? You were doing all this shit. So it, like, puts you in the shoes way more than watching a TV show or anything ever could, because you fucking, it visually has you placing your child in first person into this fucking machine and shit, dude. And, like, you pick them up and you're, like, shaking and stuff, dude. It's just fucking crazy. Because you don't go into first person or whatever. You don't go into like a cutscene ever in the game. It's just like this random shit that happens at the end, throws you for a huge loop. But yeah, so that actually, that points right back to what you were saying of, if it was my kid, and they were schizophrenic and they ended up beheading a person, just an innocent guy, and eating them on a bus in front of a whole bunch of people who are then basically traumatized by that as well. Like, if you saw a guy get his head beheaded and eaten, I mean, how safe would you ever feel again?
Yeah, you gotta put him down.
Right? Like, it's the right thing to do morally. It's selfish to not. But I could totally understand why somebody would not want to, and how that could lead somebody to make the bad choice there, because you don't know what it would be like to be in that position of having to do that. Like, if you could do it, or if morally you could even think morally in that situation, or you wouldn't just inherently not want something bad to happen to your kid. But I'm sure there's parents out there that, their kid was a murderer, did horrible things to people, and they justify it because they love their kid so much. But is that just a malfunction of, chemistry in the human body? And it's like, overarchingly, like, if we were the tribe situation, that's going to be somebody's family member, and they're going to be sad. But it's like, they also probably are going to understand that because that person got snatched away by everybody else. It's like, no, this isn't happening. Like, you don't get that decision. You don't get to make that decision because they made a decision that nobody else had any part in. You know what I mean? So it's like, now this is going to happen. I mean, there has to be some form of that. There has to be some standard of, like, just human nature justice, like the kind of like the bare bones shit, whereas like, man, if you were in a pack of wolves, they would have kicked your ass out by now. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? It's not how this works. You're breaking the whole thing. If we allow these people to all exist, then it's like, aren't we breaking the natural system of things, man? And then we're gonna have a society full of like people who are shooting up schools and fucking blowing themselves up and all this other things, because we're just harboring a lot of the people that the tribe would normally excommunicate. And then eventually something happens. I don't know. That's a pretty fucking controversial thing to say there, and I don't know how much of it I actually agree with fully. I'm just exploring. For the record.
Yeah, super interesting. Nice to throw some research behind that.
What do you mean, like to actually see some numbers on that or something?
Like see some like. I mean, there has to be some truth to it. It can't. It's not. It's certainly not without any merit.
What I'm saying is backed by reason for sure. Like, reasoning is what got me to that point. I mean, it logically makes sense that if there's a certain percentage of people that are going to be violent criminals, violent lunatic, crazy people, which is a total thing, and that's the people who are committing mass shootings, and we are figuring out we are harboring these people, or like if somebody say murders the family pet, okay, in some heinous way by blowing up its ass or something like that, dude. Is that going to be the kid that goes on in the future to do that to a person? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, is that so because that root's not ripped up out of the ground at a young age or something like that? Like, I don't know. I don't know how a tribe would actually react to some kid who violently like murders the livestock or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, don't you think what would they do with somebody like that? So you got this 10-year-old kid and he just loves covering himself in blood and murdering your livestock. What happens to that kid?
Well, see. So
you're the tribe leader, giving you a super hard one.
No, so I think it breaks down there because in the tribe we believe in historically very strange gods, and so we would argue that this kid was of some sort of demon, or was possessed by, and therefore must be eliminated.
Oh yeah,
because the supernatural. So
yeah, but is that not the society? Is that not the way we continue as a society? But also fulfilling the biological needs that we have as a species. Like as a society, we don't want to think of ourselves as murderers, and we can't all be murderers. So we have to understand that there's a reason that this person is evil. So that is why we are getting rid of this person. So unless they have that thing that designates them as an other, killing them would just be really bad, right? So you have to designate them as an other, and then as a tribe, you can rid yourself of that person. So that might be the right thing to do biologically, because biologically it's not good to have somebody that kills the food or kills other people in the tribe. And so you need to root that out in one way or another, and the way that we do it is to justify it by calling them evil, because if not, we can't really continue on as a moral society, which morality is kind of what keeps society, it's the glue, right? You got to have a moral standard, or people are just going to be doing whatever the fuck they want, like barbarians.
I kind of feel like a kid, maybe the best thing for them to, I think that they would be excommunicated from the tribe. So that child would be, and if their parents wanted to go with them, they could go, but whatever they did, they couldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, back then, I mean, that is a death sentence, right?
Essentially. But it's not.
Almost for sure.
It's a chance. It's the slimmest chance.
Yeah, the slimmest chance. Almost the slimmest chance where your parents are like,
say it.
sorry, dog. I don't know what to tell you, man. We got 2 other kids we got to take care of. Usually that's the case or something. It's like, man, we can't. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe with the amount of resources we have, we can try to rehabilitate these people, and maybe you get one in a certain amount, or 2 in a certain amount, or whatever it is. But yeah, I just wonder. Like, I wonder where the threshold is where we stop thinking from a level of what's best for us on like a small scale, like a tribe scale, and we just worry about what's best for these individuals. You know what I mean? Like, do you oh man, I could just go really bad right now, dude. What do you think about like people who are mentally retarded?
What do I think about them?
Yeah,
I think a lot of them have really beautiful minds. That
yeah, sure. But I'm saying there's a certain point in history when those people were allowed to live on. Right? That was not always the case. There's no way people were able to take care of. Oh, you mean
there was a demarcation where one day they started letting them live. Yeah, letting them live.
Yeah, because it's so resource intensive to take care of one that you couldn't literally gather the resources to take care of a retarded child in the same amount of time it would take to care for them.
There's one in 300. There's that one.
What's that?
In 300?
What do you mean?
No,
he was just physically deformed though, right? He was a hunchback. He was a hunchback though, wasn't he? And I don't think they did mean to let him live. I think he got away. I was going to say, wait, I'm pretty sure he did.
Baby pile?
Yeah, I think he got thrown out of the pile. Yeah. He was like, no, because at the beginning they showed them like fucking killing.
Yeah, the baby pile.
Oh, was that him in the baby pile?
He climbed out the baby pile, right? Or someone grabbed him out of the baby pile.
Yeah, I don't know, the baby pile. But yeah, so I mean, you get what I'm saying though. Like, that's just interesting. Like, I wonder if there's even an effect. Like, I wonder if humans are just done biodiversity wise. Like, we're just fucking Like, is there like it doesn't matter like to keep those things to a minimum anymore. They can exist fine. We can all live, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, is that it's just resources, right? That allows this to be a thing. Not that it's
Yeah,
bad.
you're absolutely right. Resources.
I don't want anybody to get the wrong fucking interpretation, even though I don't care. But you know what I mean. I don't have anything against anybody that's fucking retarded, nor do I want anyone to die. It's just an interesting concept that, like, literally, dude, you couldn't have existed fucking maybe 200 years ago almost, right?
I don't know the timeline.
Dude, what kind of question would that be typing into Google? At what point were retarded people allowed to live? So fucked up.
You're on a watch list.
I'm just enjoying talking about these super crazy controversial ideas before this podcast is big, or I have any type of name in comedy where I can get away with it right now. Now's the only time in my comedy career I'll be able to get away with even just thinking about something like this. I'm not taking any kind of stance on it. I'm just, oh wow, that's kind of interesting, and literally you could just be fucking derailed now and be like, oh, he hates fucking retarded people and he wants them to be. He's looking. It's like Christian Winkler calls for retard extermination. And today's bullshit podcast.
The thing is though, is that the name of it is serious bullshit. So, you gotta take anything that's said on this with a grain of salt. It's called serious bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you gotta take it with a grain of, murder all retard salt. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, yeah, that is that's fucked up. So you got any good news? Is there any good news anymore, dude? You heard any good news, man? We talked about blood orgies. We talked about blood orgies. You just shut down when I talked about blood orgies. Didn't get anything out of you there. Didn't get any conversation out of blood orgies. Sterling was just baffled by it.
That was a difficult one.
Difficult in what way? Just to hear about the horrible things?
I just don't know about. I don't have. I mean, I told you my thoughts about. I was just trying to figure out why that would happen.
Yeah,
and it's hard. Like it
takes a long.
It's very hard.
It's not something you can just like figure out in a couple seconds. I guess there's a lot of thinking that goes into that whole. There's a lot of nuance in that topic. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know. This is somewhat interesting. I heard it on NPR. I think it's called. It was an excerpt that came on the radio from their Invisibilia podcast. Do you know about that one?
What does that mean?
So
Why is it Invisibilia?
Invisibilia.
Why is
it's called that because it's about essentially the things that are going on between human interactions that are going on and we don't necessarily realize that they are, right?
Okay.
So just like the natural things. Yeah, subtle things.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And so they talked about the one about how this very old lady, in order to after her husband died, she was having trouble moving on, and so she went skydiving. And then they broke down why she did it. Essentially, her daughter was a journalist for NPR, and she called around to a lot of people to figure out, what do people typically do. And she finally found a psychologist who studied people who were able to deal with trauma better. And so he wrote a computer program that essentially he got a group of people who had gone through some very large trauma and had them come in once or twice a week and write in a journal for an hour. And then he studied what words the people that were handling the trauma better were using, and the words that the people that were not handling it as well. And what he found was that people who it broke down, it came down to the pronoun, and it was people that used different pronouns handled it better, meaning they would say I, and then he, and then she, and then I, and then he, and then they.
Zimzer.
And then Zimzer. But people who only said I didn't participate in perspective switching, and it's an important part in coping because you're considering different people's points of view, and it helps bring the whole picture into point of view.
And it's so essentially what this lady's mom was having trouble with was she was only thinking about her husband's death from her point of view. And so then she brought this up to her about this research, and as she started to consider he and bring other pronouns and perspectives into her story, she was able to move on from it. And then she went skydiving because he was a paratrooper. So they kind of like sold us on the skydiving line, and it wasn't really the point, but it was still interesting.
No, that is interesting. Yeah, some people are, I don't know if they're just better at taking trauma, but like some people are just more naturally empathetic, and more in tune with what other people are thinking and feeling and stuff like that. So maybe it's those people are just naturally able to handle trauma better because they have better tools to begin with. Whereas somebody who's like really focused on themselves or just self-centered or something like that, or just maybe not even that, maybe just non-empathetic, like they're not self-centered, they want to care to everybody else, and they like talking to and being around everybody else, but it's like they just can't see shit from anyone else's point of view. So like they feel like the world took something from them. You know what I mean? Like you lose your husband and you're like, oh, why is this happening to me? And this is, you're looking at it, from your perspective. I can see how that would be way more difficult than being like, just looking at it like this is part of the whole bigger picture here of life. You know what I mean? And soon it's going to be me and all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't know.
But it's going to be Stir's message, and I'm going to head out on that one.
That was nice. We can all take a little something there, and we'll try to look outward, and we'll try to think from other people's perspectives, and it'll help
Perspective switch.
It'll help us do old lady skydiving. I'm sure she was flapping like a motherfucker. It probably sounded like just fucking flying through the air. The guy was like, Jesus Christ, I told you not to let... Oh, okay, never mind. I thought she pulled the parachute out. I'm going to check like 3 times. All right, well, that has been another rendition. A little bit dark, a little bit light, a lot of good stuff, fucking serious bullshit.
Oh, but on next week, I'm out next week. I'm doing a triathlon, so another week off.
Doing a triathlon? I'm excited to hear about that. Sounds fun.
Havasu. I'll be back in 2 weeks, and I'll briefly cover that.
Hell yeah, we'll briefly cover fucking a triathlon, dude. I want to talk all about that. I want to talk about how you get ready for it, because that's a whole thing there, man. Yeah, all right, so we'll talk then. Fucking serious bullshit. I think that was episode 20 or something, so that's cool.
Nice.
Fucking, we are out of this bitch. Good night.
Oh.